The sport of cycling has a new mythical pure climber. The young Italian Gaia Riolini on Trek Segafredo announced herself to the world. Well, she did that in the Giro Donne last year, let's be real, but this was another step up in her first year at Trek Segafredo. The Jebel Hafit finish, you'll be familiar with it from the men's edition, about 10k, 6.5%. We've got Liana Lippert here, who started the season in good form. Cavalli, one of the best climbers in the world. Elisa Longoborghini, probably the leader for Trek Segafredo. It looked calm at the start. Cavalli got dropped in the crosswinds again. I'll have a recap of the sprint stages all in one video, the Cole-Vibers battle, but Cavalli struggled in every time there's been in crosswinds. She struggled, and today she wasn't coming back. That 40-second gap went out to 3 minutes. We'll see later. And here, Liana Lippert and Movistar make just a huge mistake. We've got 30Ks running into the climb. There's been crosswinds. They have numbers, teammates, Norsgaard. Never, ever, ever should the team leader be at the back in this situation taking food. They should be bringing it up to her in the first 25, 30 wheels at worst. We have two roundabouts here, and in these roundabouts, because they're quite sharp, that is where things get strung out in a line and where there can be splits again. And if you just roll the tape a little bit, well, I roll the tape, I control what's actually happening. I will roll the tape. But I think this is Liana Lippert in the last, let's say, 3 wheels on the y-axis here, which just can't happen in this sort of situation. Before the pivotal climb in the race, trying to get a GC top 3, Trek, I mean, if I saw that on the camera, they had, time to see her at the back, Trek and DSM. Maybe that's why they launched it. Maybe they're going to launch it anyway. I don't know. But that's just good night for Lippert's GC. She's off the back. There was a split because she's got the watts and she's a strong rider. But if someone loses the wheel in front of you and DSM, Liv, SD Works, Trek, they launch it as a team with their powerful riders. And, DSM, they've got a sprint train here, which is super powerful. You ain't coming back if they keep it going, which they did this time. So going into the base of her feet, it was 3 groups, Cavalli off the back, Trek paced into the bottom, but then they didn't really take it up in the first few kilometers. They got Elisa Longoborghini there and Gaia Riolini. But it was Kristen Faulkner who went straight to the front for Jaco Alula, which was somewhat curious to me. I thought she'd be going for her own GC, and the way she was riding suggested to me that Ziegart was in the group or someone that she was pacing for, but Jaco didn't have another rider in the group. Riolini was smack bang onto her wheel immediately, and Faulkner ended up losing 5 minutes. So I don't really understand what she's doing at the start of the climb. Lippert, I thought at this point, I was like, damn, is she about to do Contador Mortarolo comeback, which would be pretty epic? That didn't end up happening, but I thought it might happen for a while. She got it down to 39, 36 seconds, but it's likely she did a huge watt spike at the start, and then she blew up a little bit herself. Faulkner, though, pace has come out of the group a little bit. It's 2 abreast. It's not single file. You see Longoborghini get on the radio immediately afterwards. Riolini goes to the front, the diminutive climber, I think 21 years old, just joined Trek Segafredo on a 3-year deal, and she did really well in the Giro hard mountain stages last year, top 5s, top 7s in those stages, and that was against a strong field with Van Vleuten and co. Lippert gets passed by Marino, who's another pure climber who, if women's cycling for the last 5 years had really hard mountain top finishes feature more regularly on Women's World Tour, she would be on a Women's World Tour team. She would have won big races, but it hasn't, and it's coming back, Mont Ventoux Challenge, etc., which I want to see Riolini at this year, and she just shreds this group. I mean, it's gone from 20 riders to 7. It's going to get to 4 real quick when she releases Harvey and Persico from the back wheel of the group, and she's just driving. It's so good to watch there's nothing better in cycling. Just watching a pure climber domestique like a Sepp Kuss, like now Riolini, get to the front and just shred it. It's one of my favorite things in cycling. Longoborghini increased the pace. That dropped Shackley. She's on SD Works, the Britain, and now they're just left with Peppercamp, the DSM rider in the group. I wonder how Lippert would have gone and how they would have played it with Lippert in the group or Cavalli, but they got dropped to the crosswinds. So too bad. So sad. Riolini's under 50 kilos, and she didn't get dropped in the crosswinds, and now she's dropping Peppercamp off the wheel, and it's a 1-2 Trek Segafredo going clear with 5Ks to go. Go check out the article linked down below. We've got all the watts from this stage, as well as comparisons and a graph of how Riolini performed on this stage against Van Vleuten and a lot of the top Women's World Tour performances on climbs in the last few years. But as I said, can't wait to see how she goes on the Tourmalet. She got to go to the Tour de France, right, do the Tourmalet stage. And now the only question was, what would Trek Segafredo do who was going to get the stage. Now, Riolini started the stage 3 seconds behind Longa Borghini, so if she took the stage win, that would also mean going into the GC lead, and I think that's what they were discussing. Elisa Longa Borghini said after the stage she wanted to give the stage to Riolini, smiling and laughing, but then the car said that Longa Borghini had to take the stage because of some calculation, which I presume is they wanted Elisa Longa Borghini to take GC. Now, Twitter and I felt too, I really want Riolini to win. And I was thinking, why did I and maybe other people feel so strongly about Riolini being allowed to win? And I guess the answer is, there's nothing more selfless than a domestique sort of sacrificing their chance, which they sacrifice their chance 99% of the time. And so when they do have a risk-free way to be given the win, particularly from a senior rider who's won monuments, who's has a well-established palmares, it's nice to see the younger rider win, or the rider who has been riding as a domestique win, because there is no Lippert there. But that's not how it worked out. Maybe Elisa Longa Borghini gets a bonus for the World Tour GC win, and Riolini's contract doesn't have that, so they can split the cash. Maybe that's the calculation. If so, that'd be a nice outcome. But huge win for Trek regardless. 1-2. Marino is actually the best from Group 2. She catches up to Persico and Peppercamp, which is just a monster performance from her. She just loses time in the sprint. Longa Borghini goes into the GC lead 7 seconds ahead of Riolini. They'll 1-2, depending on what happens in tonight's stage, which should be a sprint stage, but there's been loads of crosswinds. Who knows what could happen? But I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see that sprint video, but with Vibers against Cool. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.